Hi again then folks, and welcome to, of course, another build from day 4 of Special Projects pack number 6, and this is probably the car that some of you were more intrigued by. What is this vehicle? Because if you had googled it, you wouldn't really find much, if any, information, and that is of course because it's not real. The Signature T2-64. So to spoil the punch, this is my own fictional tuning company that I decided to have in the game because why not? And the purpose of the company, which I call Signature, is to build cars that are first and foremost fun to drive. If they happen to be good for racing, that's secondary to it. And for this debut, I'm starting off with, as you can kind of tell from the badging on the front, and certainly from its spec, a Porsche engine-swapped Volkswagen bus. Hence the name T2-64. And just for that extra layer of personalization and quote-unquote realism, each of these Signature Series cars is actually signed by me. That Signature decal is something which I drew on a piece of paper, took a photo of, turned it into a decal, so each car is legitimately signed by yours truly. Now, as far as the tuning, as you can tell, we haven't gone crazy with just over 250 horses. You do, of course, want to do the engine swap in order to do this one. In terms of the actual parts though, I haven't gone crazy at all. So we want stage 1 weight, the comfort hearts of course, or comfort hards even, it already comes with, but then sports hards are the upgrade that I've done. Of course you could go for whatever you want, but I wanted it to feel better but still kind of grounded. We've gone for the power restrictor and ballast just because they do come in handy. Then for the semi-racing stuff, we've got the fully customised diff, the stage 3 weight reduction, obviously stage 2 as well. For the racing stuff, I have gone for total overkill of drilled discs. Again, doesn't matter if you go for slotted or drills, or drilled even, and the racing pads. Like I said, totally over the top, but, you know, I don't have to adhere to any kind of rules for the car, it's just what I wanted to do. Likewise, race suspension and the race clutch and flywheel, race transmission also. As far as the extreme stuff, nothing is fitted there. For the ultimate stuff, I haven't gone for that either. So you could add on to this if you want to, but I would recommend trying what I've done first, because this is the actual build, and then if you want to turn it into something else or make your own additions to it, then of course you can. Now, of course, as I'll have put at the start of the video, there is a link in the description to add this car to your library if you want to. You might hear a whining noise in the background from a drill being put into a wall, so apologies for that if you can. But as far as the tune itself, of course we have the sports hards fitted. For suspension, we've gone for not quite the lowest ride height, but certainly very close to it. And as you can see at the front, it's technically higher, and that's actually to level out the ride height a bit more, because it naturally sits lower at the back. As far as the anti-roll, or I should say sits lower at the front, not at the back. For the anti-roll, that is higher than usual on 5, to counteract that, of course, higher centre of gravity. We've got 36 on the compression, 40 on the rebound, 2.25 on the frequency, only 1 degree of camber, which might be surprising for a rear-engine, rear-drive Porsche-powered bus, but there you go. I have gone for a lot of toe, though. It's got toe in 30 on the rear, toe out 10 on the front, 10, 20 and 20 on the diff. As far as the gearbox, it may seem like a very, very close ratio, 150 kilometers an hour. I mean, that's barely like 100 miles an hour. For a 250 horsepower car, that doesn't really seem adequate. But again, I wanted it to have a very almost rally-style build with closer ratio gears to focus more on the cornering. Of course, it's not a top-end car anyway, so if you do want to extend those a little bit, you can, but I'm leaving it on 150 because it's more fun to use with that closer ratio box. As far as the power adjustment, none of that is affected. I've added just a little bit of ballast, 33 kilos, put that all the way to the, or actually no, not all the way to the front, 40 instead of 50 to the front, which brings us up to what is one of my personal favourite weight distributions of 49.51, as many LMP cars have. And then as far as the other stuff, you can just see what we've already done. So it's actually quite a simple, and aside from the engine swap, a fairly affordable build to do on a car which itself isn't crazy expensive. So of course what we need to do now is head out to a track to see what the fuss is about. Now, as I said, of course this was not intended to be a race-winning competition spec machine, but being a Porsche engine bus, it certainly isn't slow. So if you were to use it, maybe even on, say, comfort tyres instead of sports for a lower point level, it could actually be quite a useful machine because with 950 kilos, 250 horsepower, and close to a 50-50 weight split, it's actually got quite a lot of potential. Now, the cornering you may be worried about being, potentially a crazy car. It's a lovely car to drive through corners, if I don't say so myself. Like I said, the whole point of this tune, as with all of them, is to be really fun to drive. And that is what I was going for. So If you do use it for racing, of course I hope you have a lot of fun, but primarily I hope you just enjoy driving it, first and foremost. And of course I do plan to add more of these Signature Series builds in future special projects packs, maybe not one in every pack, but we'll see, and they are nothing alike to each other, so don't expect anything necessarily like this again. They are each very, very different, wildly different performance, wildly different power levels, wildly different point levels, so that's kind of the point. It allows me to just be creative with something that doesn't have to feel realistic, but it also doesn't have to replicate something. So if you do decide to use it, I hope you have a ton of fun with it, and of course I'll see you again tomorrow with already the last day of pack number 6. So of course check out the ones that we've already done and be sure to stick around for those. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.